You guys see that? So I'm looking on 5 minutes. The sellers were able to push the price down, and aggressive buyers immediately drove it back inside. And then that candle here immediately makes a lower high, and they take out the low of this candle with the full bearish bar. Is there anyone that doesn't like that setup?
I actually shorted it when it came back up, but I had a tight stop, so I was lucky.
I took it literally on the break here, and I'm like, okay, well, it's going great. And my stop loss was here somewhere inside, but it was, I mean, it was pretty good, right? They did a really good job. I warned myself not to do it, but I was like, man, this is, if this is not the pullback, then I don't know. And they ran it. So, you know, not every trade we make or take will be profitable, but that's why you gotta have a stop loss and respect it, right? If this is your stop loss, just close the trade. Much easier to lose, you know, if you're thinking about money, much easier to lose somewhere here, right? I don't know. Did I grab the whole? I'd rather lose here than lose all the way on the bottom, right? So here you can manage this percentage, right? If it's 10, 15%, you can say I lost 10, 15%, but if you catch a 3-to-1 trade, then eventually it's going to pay back, right? So it's much easier, you know, to take this, take a stop loss, and then if you can catch the uptrend, if they gave you a retest or something here, but they were not really so giving on, they would have a couple of looks that they're going down and then they continue up. Couple looks going down, like indecision doji, you break below it and then reverse. So they're really, really tricky to play on Friday. I don't know if you guys did, how well you did, but it was a tricky day to play unless you're just a bull the whole time and you just put your money to go up without any fear that it can reverse, then it's different. That means you're also an aggressive trader. So, okay.
Yeah,
What
this
did
wallet
you
profile we need to do
say
in
the VPOC
the.
was for that
Do we need
S&P?
to use the extended hour?
Was it
I'm sorry, there's two people speaking.
about the VPOC? Did you say it was 404?
Yeah, it's 402, right at 404. Yeah, I would call it 404. But I would probably
Okay,
circle
thank you.
405 range immediately as well, just because of the, you know, the psych numbers 405, 410, and so on. So 404, you know, bullish wise, it really opens up over 405. So yeah, 404, 405 is the range you're on. Somebody else was speaking. I think you said volume, extended hours. Yes,
Yeah,
I'll look at
yeah,
extended hours,
Shorty.
but not on
Do we
SPY.
need to use the extended hours, or because I am seeing that you are using right now RTH, right? Regular hours, right?
This is for
So,
SPY, correct? Yes. Mhm.
for SPY we can use the regular hours, and
Yes, I
ES
use
is.
SPY for regular hours. ES starts trading heavier as well, more than SPY. It has more volume than SPY at night.
Okay,
So that's why we include it.
gotcha.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, let's see. So that's SPY. So any questions on how we can play this? And then initially, if this was the first dump here that we had, right? If we accumulated here, your first instinct here is to take a short, right? You can take a short here and keep us tight. Stop loss maybe around, I would say, I would probably give it 80 cents, something like this. That's what I would do. Just kind of right above, if you can, about the value area high. If you can do that, that's pretty good, but you have to kind of digest that they can push above and hit some of these stop losses, and you might be one of them, unless you place it above the highs, right, which is at 446, which you're probably higher probability trades stay in it than if you put it here, but it's dependent on your risk management. But I will potentially just small contracts enter some positions for longer period, meaning May, June, look at some puts as well, to see if I can find something valuable when it gets there. But I will play closer in the money with those just so they can keep the, in case they run to 410, that I still have a chance of coming down to 395. If I play 370s, then if they go to 415, the chance of 370 just lowers a lot, so that's fine. All right, let's see.
So,
How
what is
would
the best
anyone
stop
short
loss?
this?
How can
I'm sorry? Did you say something?
Yeah, I'm talking about the stop loss. What is the best percentage of stop loss we need to put every time? Like,
It's your risk
if,
management. I can't tell you what's the best. That's your decision, right? For me, it could
okay,
be 50% on swings. For you, it could be 10, depending on your account and your risk management, right? That's something that you have to define within yourself.
okay,
Nobody's gonna tell you do this percentage or do that. If you're trading based on levels, then you would have variable stop loss, I would say, right? Because if you're off of levels, it might be a little bit more, a little less. You know, depends the contract, the data, and so the Greeks of the contracts would matter what you do, but if you're going directly off a statistical stop loss, then I mean you got to figure out a trade 3-1, right? If
gotcha.
your stop loss is 10, then you got to figure out where's your reward point, right? So and
Right,
probabilities of those levels hitting. So
gotcha.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. So 2 levels tomorrow. I'll watch this 396 if we can hop over it and then go to 398, so you can catch $1.50 on the upside. But I would turn a little bit bearish with the longer dated puts. And then if we're able to hop over 398, that would be pretty bullish as this, you know, if they are able to hold this POC, that means they're kind of reversing the sentiment and they'll probably break this double top here on 30 minutes. So I'll watch that on SPY. On ES, so a lot of levels that we anticipated the bounces on, if you guys looked, pretty much all of them hit. So I'm not sure if you guys went over the levels from the watch list, but pretty much every single one was on point. On the bounces of the 39.20s, the level held. I mean, it was pretty good. So the two things that I'm gonna be watching is obviously the same thing I'm watching on SPY, is this consolidation that they had, right? So if you look here, this level about 415, I'll be interested to see, right? What does it do? And which is almost similarly to SPY, the same supply is being played. So this will be the first time that we are revisiting the supply based on the balance, right? So if this whole thing was balanced here, that means the imbalance was created right here on this move, and it could be, the range bottom if you guys look, or liquidity grabs that they're having here. It's right there. And that candle broke, and then they literally went down, right? So I'm gonna watch to see as they come up to this level. As they come up to this level, how are we gonna react to it, right? So they had a nice little push. We just got to see if there's buyers, and we'll monitor the volume on the bottom to see. So there was a little bit of buyers here. Now I'm interested to see, how the next candle does as we approach the supply. If it's a big green candle right through it, yeah, you might want to step out of the way with the puts and just wait a little bit longer before they reach their target 415 or maybe even 430. So I'll watch this for the upside for the rejection here, simply as that. And then, of course, you should mark your levels on SVP. Maybe I deleted it. Yep. It looks like it's changed. So now if you guys look, we had a really, really weird shape on ES on the volume profile. So it's definitely a P shape. And, the two noticeable things about this close is that we closed highly at the top, right? I mean, you're right at the top. It's not like we got rejected and not find any value and they sold off. This is not the case, right? So they held this level. And I would say, if you look to, to the left a little bit, there's a level here that might be interesting as well on ES as a first approach. The 396.5 is not a bad level because that was, if you think about the structures, right? This was our structure low here. 1, 2 taps, the third one broke. And then here also, you see them bouncing off of this level, which seemed important for a second, right? But you can tell how much more aggressive sellers were at this level than here. So they needed a lot more volume to break this. So let's see if they defend it. Maybe these same sellers that were fairly aggressive here will show up here now to defend this level. And then, a true battle begins. What's going to happen, I think, kind of by Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know if there's any speakers or if we're in a blackout.
There's no speakers, but Wednesday's jobless claims, and I think Friday's PCE.
Yep, that's what
It's
I'm.
blackout.
Yeah. Yeah. So
We do have earnings from Microsoft and Tesla.
yeah,
this
there's
week.
a hell of a earnings week this week. Yes, I mean this week is they have Tesla. I think Microsoft is this week. Amex is this week. Novisa, Intel. I mean, there's a handful of big companies this week.
Boeing.
Oh, Boeing's this week, man. I think
Yeah.
there's some fireworks, especially in that
Yeah.
space.
You
I
got
mean,
Intel
3M
and
is
Tesla.
reporting. I don't know how they did with the the lawsuit, if it's been settled. That one might be interesting to watch. I think Tesla is not going to make a move at the earnings at all. And whoever buys puts and calls, yeah. Unless you're hedging, yeah, you're not gonna do well. Even if you're hedging, maybe iron condors or something, just to kind of play the flat. I think they're gonna burn premiums on Tesla. They're creating a lot of hype for some reason, and I don't know what the hype is.
They always burn the premiums in their ER.
Oh man, it is gonna be the best burner watch because Tesla has to go to 80 first before it ever goes over 150. But let's see. So I'll be shocked if they do that. But that's a good note about earnings. I think they're gonna set the tone for the remainder. I really do think we're gonna run soon here, guys. Like a really bullish run to really convince bulls. Hey man, this is looking good. So what better to do than go over 430 and convert everybody to bull? Because everybody would lose the guard, right? It would be like, oh man, no more pivots. That's good. No more interest rates. Everybody relaxes. And remember, they want to catch you when you're not thinking about it. Right now, there was too many news about, recessions and this. And maybe that's what they did. They led you believe to it. And then they knew people flip over a certain level, that you flip over a level. Now you got, instead of one house, you got everyone committed to both sides. And then, it's easy to have some magical war again, U.S. embassy in Russia got or something like that, and it really becomes bad. So I wouldn't take that possibility out, right? Where they run this to about 43, 4,400, trap a lot of people at that point. A lot of good news come out, people become furious again, and still make a lower high in the bigger scheme of things, right? I think you take this level out and you take this one out and you get blocked here somewhere. That's what I'm thinking they're gonna do. Somewhere around here. It would be 44.61. That would be really interesting here. So let's see how they do it. But that's just my theory and what I'm expecting them to do on a bigger scale. Here on a P shape, so the really awkward shape, I would say they ran it through here, rezoned, reaccumulated, popped. This is the level that I'll be watching if I'm going to play futures over 3996. Pretty high chance you're going to hit 410, 415. So that's not a bad play on future traders. On the bottom, if they're going to be pushing back all the way down, this is probably the zone that you want to be looking at. I would say up to here, this is the zone you want to expect to bounce. It'd be 39.25 now instead of the previous we had. I think 39.12 is 22 POC and 21 is at, I believe, 4,009 and 25. So I'll definitely watch that here. So this would be the level I'm watching for the bounce most likely, if there's any pullback, if they give such. This would be the level that we're going to bounce in. But then this HVN that they have is potentially a bounce. It's just not my favorite setup because they can also slice through it just like they did here when they're going up. You guys see this? This was a nice HVN. You push it, and they literally pretended like it's never there. So that's why I'd rather play a little bit bigger shelves. And if they push here, I have 2 days of volume, almost full day here on the bottom. So that'd be a good zone. Okay, any other tickers you guys need?
Could you look at Nvidia, please?
Yeah, Nvidia still has the sweep puck here. I really do think they're gonna hit this. This is gonna be interesting, right? So I called this one here, but they never came to it. It would be really interesting if they get it here now and see what happens. And they did not make a lower low overall besides this one here. They did not take this or this with this rejection. So let's see if they hop over it. Nvidia can run much higher, right? I would think they can go to 190s, probably here somewhere, grab the liquidity. So hop over 180, I think 190 4 weeks out would do well. And you know, you're gonna have a VPOC here now. You have a VPOC, I would say, still here, here. So you still have a handful of VPOCs. So they barely hit this one here. So let's see how they react to this level. This is the most important level for Nvidia, and probably the chips, other chips will run as well, like AMD. I'll definitely watch this. So it has to go, you know, if you're gonna trade it tomorrow, are you talking about tomorrow or longer period?
Longer period.
Yeah, longer period, 180 and over. I would say if you're gonna play it short, you can play it aggressively below 175 and drive it all the way to this 166, which is $10. And then every one of these levels pretty much leaves the space because that's how it traded. It literally did not build, you know, stones. It just been huge balance, and balance. It didn't climb up slowly. So that's two ways. You can either accumulate, pop, reaccumulate, pop. So there's a lot of buyers supposedly, and they're aggressive on taking it higher. They're competing on who's going to get more.
Okay, right on. Thank you.
So I think it has bright future, but you know the price to get was, man, hundreds.
Right.
Right now, I don't know. It's already up almost 80% since the lows.
Okay.
So
What about Amazon?
you are in Amazon, or what about Amazon?
What about Amazon?
Amazon has the level that we had here before, which we hit. I think we hit it on the dot. Yeah, it was about $99. So that's a level you got to hop over if you want to go. Then you get the 100. This one you got to call as it looks. If I was to name this, it does look like an inverse head and shoulders. The only reason I say that is because look where it's occurring. If this was occurring somewhere mid, I wouldn't really care about it. But now it's occurring at really, really bottom of this last accumulation before COVID. So like you're accumulating in this level for a while, right? It doesn't mean you're going to stay within $2. You can create a nice range just like you had here, and they're buying it, either buying or selling. But if I was to take a guess, I think this is an accumulation for Amazon, in my opinion, right? But I don't know if it's going to reach, you know, the all-time highs anytime soon, just because the economy, the macros, and then the shift in Amazon's business. Let's see what they do with AWS. They separate it or not. If they do, then you know, it might kill this stock, but AWS would probably take off. So I don't know. Future wise, long future, I'd be a buyer here. I did buy some almost at 80 something, 85, 86. I bought some stock there. I'm still holding. You know, if they hop over that level, if they break this last one, there's a high chance that you're going to fill this gap up to here, at least 105-ish. Once you get to 105, you have, you know, about $5 more to fill the gap of the bears here. So if you hop over 100, easy 105s, and then over 105s, you get 110s. That's the levels I'll mainly watch. And then if you break below the shoulder here, 93, that becomes really good puts. And then if you look on the volume, right? So if you turn on your 30 minutes here, it still has 1, 2, I don't know, this one here, I would call it 3 VPOCs below to hit. And most likely we'll come back to it. Okay, what else do you guys have? I think Tesla is Wednesday earnings. Tesla has a nice supply, 140, and then 150. I mean, this is a pretty decent supply. But you see how Tesla just kept making, from this point on, just kept making lower lows. And look at the shelves. Every time, quick accumulation dump, quick accumulation dump. So let's see at which point. I really do think this level here is going to be pretty tough for Tesla, but let's see. They came very close to it last time. I mean, the top is not really till 183, so let's see what the earnings does. I'm not going to play the earnings, but let's see if they get the crazy run up. What was somebody said? Another Netflix, I believe.
Yeah, Netflix.
Oh man.
Oh,
Yeah.
Netflix, I know.
Netflix, I mean, it has a lot to fill. Did anyone read any of Netflix earnings calls?
I did not know.
Yeah, it's not bad. You should just kind of look over some of their numbers. They have some really interesting statistical finance that they really messed up on, and I don't know how they're gonna play it off. They spent a lot of money, like in R&D, and if you're a Netflix user, have you experienced anything drastical change in Netflix application?
It's like slower, maybe.
You would expect a lot of improvements for a couple of $100 million, right? And then, you know, they also spent $2.5 billion on ads, and they acquired 8 million people, right? So if you kind of divide that and figure out the acquisition by customer, I don't know, I think it was coming to almost $284, $300 per customer. And if you're paying $20, man, you got to spend 15 months on Netflix for you to basically break even for the company. And it's like, okay, like who's gonna achieve that? How are they gonna get the money back? So I don't know. I'm bearish on the stock overall. So the whole intro for me is that, and this is just not maybe because I have a bearish side to it, but I do think it needs to go to about $80, $100. And I think it plays out same way the Roku played out. I think this is the level for it. About $97, about $100, I would say I think it's gonna go here soon. And a lot of people, you know, forget here. So if you are a pattern trader on the long term, what do you see? Anyone?
Bear flag.
Yeah, you see a giant weekly bear flag. And this seems to be the stock that's been saving the market sometimes lately, right? Where they had these crazy runs. Like I remember this week, October, when it literally ran insanely. And same thing, you know, they're trying to push it up now. They have a nice little volume here. So if you look here, there's an overlap in the volume here. So as they're pushing, I believe it was 380, yeah, 380-ish. I think this could be the level, and this justifies the idea for me about SPY running. If you're able to run, I don't know, what, another 40 points on Netflix, that's pretty good. That means Apple and all the other guys will be running too. And then somewhere around here becomes a really good short for Netflix for me. So I would definitely watch that on Netflix. Bigger picture. I don't think you can short anything sooner just because how aggressive they were on getting these overnight gaps. It seems like somebody's pushing their agenda to get it up as high as possible. So either they get out of the hole that they dug themselves into in Netflix, or something else. Remember, there was a couple of investors, I believe, that were invested in Netflix. So you don't know how they play this. They can manipulate these news all you want, but if they really want to offload and they grabbed it on the bottom somewhere, they could offload here, almost double their money, right? You know, 190 to about, what did they hit? 167. So they really would double the money here. And that's where I'll be kind of skeptical about the onloading on the bottom and not touching this area. It's telling me most likely hit this and come back down. I wouldn't touch it here with anyone's money. But we'll have to check Jim Cramer, see what he says.
Jim's not going to tell you to buy until you're on the top.
Yeah, that's true. Apple. Yeah, so Apple's, if you look at Apple here, 3 days, it's going to be coming up on a nice low resistance here, like 140-ish. So it might not be a bad level just to look at it and kind of see how we react as we arrive there. But I think it's not a bad level to take a little stab short. Because what I'm hearing is that they had trouble with the sales a little bit with the iPhone, especially with the supply chain. They're migrating from China to India. So I don't know. There's probably a couple of impacts, and I'll be interested to see how they do on earnings. If they do bad on earnings, that's going to be, I mean, that's going to be a pretty overall bad scenario for the market. I think then they would be like, okay, if you're not buying Apple, that means really you're stingy. The market's shifting, the sentiment shifting a little bit, so they can play that. I'll definitely watch that. And this trend line here lines up almost perfectly. And if you guys remember, we've seen this setup so many times before on Nvidia, a few times, if you guys recall, where we had the same setup and they would literally hit this and come back down instantly. So just watch it and, just pay attention to volume as they're coming up to here. They're not really making a lot of volume. And you look at the weekly here, still looks very weak. And on daily here, this is the first time that we're kind of breaking above the, average volume here. So it'll be interesting to see, right? The candle is pretty big on the body size. The volume matches. So let's see if they're able to get it up to here and then short it, or if they break above it, then below come and short. That'd be the best scenario, because then you would know that they're thinking more bearish. Something like this is ideal. That's what I'll be watching for. Long-term swing would be here, because they would have trapped a lot of bulls on this one. Broke above it. Oh, give them a little retest, fake below, come here, test the lows. Because we haven't been here, right, since we left. So this level here, 129, 130, but this level will be tagged as well. Okay. Any others?
SQs.
SQ?
SQQQ.
Oh, Qs. I mean, they're almost on the trend line here, on the borderline. So let's see what
Hanging
they do.
man.
I'm sorry?
Hanging man at the end.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it has one on the weekly, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. I would think bullish if they're able to close last week over this level right here. But it doesn't seem like they were able to. They tagged it and didn't like that level. That's a pretty decent level, right? So you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles of accumulation of volume here before you didn't make any new lows. You made equal lows here on the bottom. But this would be an interesting level for rejection. Maybe hop over it, trap some bulls, and maybe even break this range on the top side, right? So maybe grab the liquidity off of this here and then go down. Yeah, but I will definitely watch this tomorrow. This level has been pretty painful for it. So hop over maybe the level right here and hold it. Call it 287 or call it 283 for your safety. Go over 283 and then I would say it's probably going to start around towards 296 first. And probably even higher. They can, get some new buyers in the area. But that's longer term picture, right? If you're going to play it. I would probably go high here on the previous day high, well, previous of this day. On a retest of this, reclaim 284.67 and hold it. And you can go along, probably catch it all the way to 300 or this VPOC here, 290.53. So it'd be somewhere around here that I'll be maybe interested in some puts, weekly puts. Okay. All right, I'll do Adobe and that'll be it. Wow. Well, they're definitely accumulating, and this was the earnings drop. That's pretty tight accumulation on Adobe here. Man, this is insane. They're accumulating right below the gap too. this is pretty wide. I mean, the move's coming fairly soon. Yeah, it's gonna move. Once it breaks this, it's gonna be a pretty violent move. On the upside, I would not play the retest. I'd go long immediately. On the downside, I would play the retest because they can pull a really nice trick here, where they drop it from here, and then a lot of people would probably short it on this. If it drops, they do something like this. Well, I think from here, they could probably target somewhere around here, and this would be a little mini market drop, unless they give you a big one, where they accumulate, pop, drop here, and how many bears they would fall right here. They would get them all from here, from these stop losses, and they would immediately think, recent lows and even previous here. So I would think this is probably the move to watch on the downside buy here. On the first one, I would play the breakout to the upside because there's literally nothing here between this drop and here. There's really no volume. So they'll probably drive it all the way up to here, 450, what is this, 440? Now I'm thinking here in the longer picture, Macquarie.
Can you look at? Oh, sorry. LABU.
I'll do two
Oh,
more.
sorry.
And that'll be, yeah, this one, man, this one just breaks a lot of rules. But let's see. They were here, previous all-time high. They broke above it. They gave a nice really test, right? And they accepted the price so far. So if you look at a daily, right, you broke it. They're holding it still. I still just don't see a lot of buyers. Besides this volume candle and this one, it seems like almost it would be the same buyer buying here and then driving the price up as much as possible. I logically, and maybe I shouldn't use logic on this stock, it just does not make sense why it's ripping right now. If you think about the contracts and building of homes, how much slowdown it might have potentially. I don't know if they're pricing that negativity into the stock at all. I would think they have more downside than anyone else, because if you're not going to be building, if people are not going to be buying, and you're going to be cutting the building of new homes potentially by 70%, I just don't know. Like, why are people buying the stock at all-time highs, especially this one? Maybe I'm missing the picture, right? Which is highly possible. It just doesn't make sense. We bought it here, if you guys remember, off of this level 160. We offloaded 230s, 225, 230s on the shares. At least I did. But then here, this was just, I don't know. To me, it just looks fake. And then I look at it on weekly here. The volume is still decreasing. So I want to see some stopping volume first now on the weekly, where, if this was a flipped candle, more body towards the bottom, and the high, a wick like a hammer, and the volume was higher than the average on the down day. Yeah, it might be a little bit of a stopping volume and no more buyers above. So that'll be a good indication. But so far, we shorted it here. We caught maybe one or twice. We lost one. But yeah, definitely not one to mess around with, honestly, because it does move pretty unusually. Unless you're trading these, consolidation and breaks, it doesn't seem to give much of a retest on any of them. So like this one here, they really did not give you much. So let's see what they do here. It'll be interesting to see from the fibs perspective if they respect that tomorrow. Doesn't mean I take the trade here. I just want to learn the behavior of it. See if it respects 50, 61, 68. Where does it reject? If it's a true, down day and it's reversing really bad, I would expect a rejection here at 250.5. If not, then, the trend is still active. One of these levels, little pullback, and make higher highs. We need a little bit more confirmation on CAT now. Okay, we'll do Google. Google's going for 103s. So here's Google. If you guys look, even if you go on a daily, weekly, whatever time frame you go, you'll see that there was a nice little accumulation right here. Does anyone struggle finding accumulations or distributions like, let's say, this one? Does anyone? It's okay. Like sometimes I struggle visually till you really kind of get in a zone of charting, and then it becomes easily visible, right? Does anyone
I
else struggle?
I do.
struggle
I
with
usually
it.
find it easier like in 5 minutes and higher.
Okay.
I
Yeah, on
tend to.
1 minute you can find them, right? I mean, they happen a lot, right? So if you look as you're trading, you know, they're building this zone here, right? Highs, they're not really making higher highs. You just pay attention if the individual candles are making higher highs or higher lows, right? And then see if there's a lot of overlap. Like here, there's a lot of overlap. You know, here, there's a lot of overlap. So if you look here, I would say this is the overlap area before you break it, right? And here they gave a flag, they went, they dipped below. I mean, they did a lot of trickery on Friday. So you can expect that, and you see, I mean, on 1 minute you can catch them. Wherever they overlap and they're breaking with the away of the highs and the lows, that's where you stop. So same here, like this is the candle that broke the zone, right? If you guys look. They consolidated, they broke, and then, you know, here they came back. So if I drag this guy to the right, you'll see that they overlap, and look, multiple bounces here. It's still in a bearish trend here, even though it's making lower highs and a descending triangle on a look here. They popped from it, and all the people that were looking for a short here, think about it, how easy it was. Give retailer a descending triangle usually means what? Descending triangles are usually bearish, right? They have a sentiment of being bearish. And look, they trapped them a few times, especially here. So they trapped them and boom, then they went higher. Let's see what they do now. Maybe if they break this level here, I would say break below the 97 and a half, you're going to go down quite a bit, because that means that this was fake and this was a trap. You're going to dump probably to the bottom here somewhere. Oh man, it will have a long way to go. Probably about 93. Yeah, 93. Yeah, somewhere around here, 93.06. I would catch it here. Imagine a little raccoon. Yeah, but this, yeah, I just don't think this is gonna work. So even if you look here, it looks like they're setting up for a bigger move. And there's a bigger move coming. I would target this area here. So this would be about 101 for a potential short, because that'd be a pretty good move, $4. So you can take this over. If you're safe, 98.5, I would take this over all the way to 100. At 100, I would probably scale a little bit. Just could be very close and quick on Google to move that. Okay. I'll do one more and that'll be it, guys. I gotta go get some rest. Let's do silver. Oh, it has like a little bull flag right at the trend line. So it has a trend line here, consolidating right there above it, but the volume, this volume up here was not very aggressive so far. I was short silver here. And gold is in the same situation, just to show you since you're on it already. This is your gold right here. So gold and silver are coming up for, in my opinion, a pretty good short. What would that mean for the markets?
Gold down, DXY up, market down.
Gold up? What
I
did you
said
say?
gold down, DXY, dollar up, market
Yeah.
down.
Yep. So that's one scenario, and there's the opposite, right? But this would be interesting level, honestly, on gold. So if this rejects here, then you got to believe it's a more bearish sentiment, right, than what we think it is. So there's two kind of, the earnings come into play to be part of the equation. But I think this is where they're playing the game. I mean, somebody loaded up probably here in this level on gold 150s. I mean, to be up a good amount here, 30 points on gold is a pretty good run. Pretty safe investment, and everybody's saying buy gold, currency is bad, blah, blah, blah. So of course they're going to create stories. So if they have liquidity and they want to sell it, they can sell it to the right buyers. So same thing for silver. I mean, right at the trend line, and you have this bull flag kind of look like, and then you had this massive, like a hammer inverse, and you dumped from there with the full bearish candle making a new low, and then you have an inside day, and you just explode back. I don't know. There's so many traps in this little box here that's pretty wide. Yeah, I'm pretty sure maybe come back, and I don't know. Let's see how we react to it, but it looks like it's gonna come back down. So that would make a little bit of dollar stronger, markets weaker. It will put additional pressure there. So, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's been a lot of news about crypto lately. Like
Yeah,
there's
BTC crossed
so
23K.
Oh, okay. Well, they're pumping it. There's something going on in that. I think they're gonna do something wild in the stock market with the regulations, at least I think here on Bitcoin. I think it's gonna literally dump from here to 7,000. I don't know what's gonna cause it to do that, but it's gonna lose 60% of its value from here, I would say. I really think something odd's about to happen on Bitcoin. It's gonna go here, but I think it's gonna go around here. This one thinks here. I honestly think about 8,000 is gonna be the level on it. Something is gonna happen regulations because everybody's hyped up about Bitcoin now. All of a sudden, all the news are, I don't know, just feels weird.
Twitter is full of, this is the first week they made higher high since 69K. Those sort of things.
Yeah, I
had a
don't know,
lot
man.
of
They're creating a
friends.
lot of bullish sentiment here on it.
I had a lot of friends telling me, "Hey, you should go buy Bitcoin." Like the bottom was 16K or something. I'm like, it's gonna drop.
I don't know.
So, I've heard that story before.
I mean, it went to 15,000. I mean, if you bought it, you're up 7 grand already. But how many people were afraid to buy it at 15? And maybe, maybe they run. I'm looking here on the monthly. This is the first month where buying volume is good. The candle agrees this was like a stopping volume and this was a trap under. But now, you're looking potentially good here. It'll be interesting to see what happens here as we arrive at the 50% here. I would watch this level to see what happens there. But I don't know, maybe I'm old school. Maybe I'm not so bullish on it right now. I just don't see governments giving up control over printing money through digital currency, but maybe I'm wrong. I think others will try it from other countries to disturb the status of a dollar, but if I was thinking they're gonna do a massive bull trap, this is your level. This is gonna be it. This is too much of accumulation here. If you guys grab it from the top to the bottom, this is way too much accumulation before this massive dump here. Definitely would watch that if you're watching Bitcoin.
The
But
speed at which it is going, it might reach there in 2 days.
Say it again.
I said the speed at which it is going, that might happen next week itself.
Oh yeah, I mean, but this is pretty wild. I mean, you're going from 17 to 25. I mean, 22 here. Well, I guess almost 25. Like a couple of days. Has anyone watched Silicon Valley show?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
My favorite. scene is when the guy monitors Bitcoin in the office. Whenever it's volatile, it explodes the sound. That's all I think about, literally. Like, look at the Bitcoin and look at those weird moves.
진짜로?
Okay. All right, guys. Well, we'll see tomorrow how they do on the market. See how they open, if they're above POC, how overall we're doing. Seems like we're holding that top of the POC, so most likely we see continuation tomorrow. I'm expecting them to continue running here. I'm more bullish than bearish, but let's see.
Thanks, Shorty. Good night.
All right, guys.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.